6 o'clock on Wednesday, the 22nd of January, 2020. Good evening and thank you for tuning in to the English edition of Ora News. My name is Christopher, bringing you the only update of the local Albanian news translated into English. Students will demand the repeal of the law on higher education by Parliament. For this reason, they have started by collecting 20,000 signatures. At the resumption of the protest, the youth said they had not met any of the requirements from last year, while accusing the dormitory conditions of had deteriorating, and the offers on the student card did not serve them in any way at all. 1 year after the protests, students have returned to the square. They have begun gathering 20,000 signatures to demand the repeal of the law on higher education, saying their demands have not been met. The rally started at the Faculty of Philology, where young people boycotted their lessons. Before the corps, they expressed their dissatisfaction with the decisions taken in the year. The student card also remains one of the highlights, with ironies not lacking on student banners. Students consider the state of education deplorable and say the protests will continue. One of the students who protested today said their demands were the same as they were a year ago. One student told Ora News that she will not give up until the problems are resolved. No point of the agreement was maintained. We have come for our rights. Fees have been increased and nothing in the dormitory is satisfactory. We hope they all support us. Some of the problems are high fees, the scholarships, for example, which you have to be two disabled parents to receive a scholarship. We do not know what will happen to us. We will protest until our problems are resolved. I came here and will not give up. The lecturers have supported us students as we are the ones being held down by fear, said the student. The Assembly will seek the Venice Commission's opinion on the anti-defamation package. Although the paper has already begun to receive the opinion of international experts, the presidential decree has been overturned by the majority MPs in the Productive Activity Committee. The head of the state has requested to review articles on fines against electronic media and the enhanced powers that the AMA has taken. The loud public outcry and calls by international organizations have forced the majority to turn to international experts for an opinion. At its March 20th plenary session, the Commission will also discuss the law on audio-visual media as part of the anti-defamation package. But despite this demand, the majority in the Commission of Action rejected President Meta's decree on the law on electronic media, underlining that the arguments of the head of state's legal relationship are insufficient. The presidency submits reports on Law 92 lacking substantive arguments. For the sake of the fact that we have a genuine parliamentary procedure, we are obliged to give an answer in relation to that decree of the president. Seeing that we have no arguments for the 92 law, I do not consider it to be rejected. Arben Plumbi said in defense of the decree, the President Meta's legal advisor expressed concern over the high penalties sanctioned by the law, while reminding the Assembly of the warning of the international organizations. During this reassessment of the voice of international bodies should be heard once again, but above all, the latest spokesman of the EC spokeswoman for enlargement emphasized the possibility given to the Assembly to reflect on the return of law, based on the reasoning that the President of the Republic has emphasized the promotion of self-regulation, the transparency of the media, and the guarantee of an independent judicial review of complaints against the media. The EC statement states that if Parliament does not change the law as recommended by the COE, this will have consequences on the country's European path, said Bledar Dervishaj. On Thursday, the Media Commission will discuss the next anti-blasphemy law, part of the anti-blasphemy package returned for review by Meta. But it remains to be seen whether the majority will overturn the decree or wait for the Venice opinion. In Venice, 5 out of the 5 cases to be discussed on March 20th are in Albania, which will be joined by the President's appeal to the Constitutional Court. The Democratic Party has denounced the mayor of Bulqiza, Lefter Allah, for consuming narcotics in the premises of a bar. The allegations were made by former MP Ervin Sheliani, but denied by Allah, who says he is not the person appearing in the photos published in the media. According to the Democratic Party, the person who is consuming narcotics in the premises of a bar is Mayor of Bulqiza, Lefter Allah. Public opinion today is shocked by footage of Bulqiza's illegitimate mayor, appointed by Edi Rama, consuming cocaine. Shaliani said the allegations have been repeatedly denied by Allah, who, in reaction to Ora News, says he absolutely is not the person appearing in the photo. The denunciation was made by former lawmaker Elvin Sheliani, who accused the government of links to crime, drugs, but also seizing the justice system. Shaliani said the President Minister Edi Rama, through the appointment of Artur Metani as the head of the High Justice Inspectorate, will control and threaten prosecutors and judges. Rama has chosen to appoint a comptroller of judges and prosecutors, to appoint his former subordinate and his deputy brother to use the threatened judges and prosecutors when they investigate or advocate corruption, stealing votes from the government of Edi Rama, or to turn injustice into the norm against political opponents. Anyone who had the illusion that there would be justice with Edi Rama in this country got the answer that Edi Rama and his bandits need: the justice under control to preserve stolen property and money. According to Shaliani, Metani's appointment is illegal and he has held political office in recent years. A 72-year-old man has been arrested by Elbasan police transporting 16 illegal immigrants. The elderly taxi driver would send them to the border for between 450 and 1,000 euros per person. The clandestines continued to break through the police and Frontex fence at the border with Greece on the way through Albania to European Union countries. 16 illegal immigrants were apprehended by the Elbasan police on the Gramscirik axis. They were traveling in a vehicle driven by a 72-year-old who was handcuffed at the scene. The elderly man from Tirana, according to police, had taken the clandestine men to Korça for payment to help transport them through Albania. According to the police, the 72-year-old received between 450 and 1,000 euros a person. Since the closure of the so-called Balkan route through Macedonia, clandestines have increasingly used Albania. They cross the green border with Greece and then make their way to Montenegro. Due to the influx of 8,000 migrants to Montenegro last year alone, the Montenegrin government has warned of tightening measures at the border. Meanwhile, Frontex forces have been deployed on the southern border of Albania since the spring of last year. And finally, representatives of Albanians in Montenegro reject the Balkan mini-Schengen initiative backed by Prime Minister Edi Rama, as they believe the initiatives benefit only Serbia directly. The representative of Tuzli commune, Nikol Camaj, says it is imperative to strengthen ties between Albanians. After Kosovo, even the Albanians of Montenegro do not support the initiative of the Albanian Prime Minister Edi Rama for the Balkan mini-series. Nikol Camaj, representative of the Albanian municipality of Tuzli, says, "Maybe the Albanian state at the moment sees an interest, but we cannot see what that interest is." He says that it would have been more necessary to provide a mini-Schengen among Albanians and give his arguments. Rather, the Albanians of Macedonia, Kosovo, Albanians of the Valley, Montenegro should have a mini-Schengen. A good connoisseur of the reality of the former Yugoslavia, the former Montenegrin parliamentarian, says Serbia is stronger than Albania economically and therefore the only direct winner. "We are weak, and I do not believe that Albania can export even half of the amount of goods that Serbia does." But the biggest disappointment with this initiative, Camaj has, when he goes back to the past and remembers Serbia's dream of Durrës. He does not know where he comes from or does not know where he's going, Pasic, who has been the biggest strategic in Greater Serbia, saw Durrës as a Serbian gateway. He calls a mini-Schengen not only the work of Belgrade, but also the work of officials Moscow, who is hiding behind the curtains and thinks that one or several politicians cannot decide on it, but the Albanian people should decide by a referendum. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join us again every Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of Ora News, thank you and good night.